Hi, you guys. So, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be channeling Archangel Raziel today, if that's how you pronounce it. I call him Archangel Raziel. And I've recently been introduced to this archangel, literally like in the last 4 or 5 days. And I did a channeling with him, which was, I haven't shared it on YouTube mainly because I don't want to freak anybody out. But I gravitated into the dark side of his soul. He's an archangel, so he's quite diverse. And I'm convinced that this emanation or this experience was, I felt, I felt so moved by it. I'm going to put a link in here, so I'm going to keep it unlisted. But if you're interested in watching the secret video, I'll put a link in here so you could watch it if you want to. But he shares a really interesting message about wisdom. And those who are deep explorers of wisdom are often walking alone. And how to experience the truth in that is, people have a belief system and they stand together in that belief. That when somebody does something outside the box that seems impossible, that seems blasphemous, that seems inappropriate, now suddenly that one person is singled out and the rest are correct where they are not. In this journey, I am standing before quite a lot of intense evil emanation. Then I just stand there and I accept it for as it is. So where you would have lots and lots of people running away and saying, this is too much for me, I just stand there and accept it for as it is. And so in a way that shows me as singled out or walking alone. And people don't necessarily understand that. So this archangel I've not been able to stop thinking about him. Even after I did this journey, you would think I would never want to talk to him again. But I feel such a deep connection with him, and I feel such a deep connection with his dynamic and wise comprehension. There's something about him in sacred geometry that's been coming to me a lot. And the space that I entered into was this extraordinary extraordinary geometric star, let's just say. And this star had 4 directions, so northeast, southwest, actually on the inside of the star. Or you can see the star has northeast, southwest. In the end, we're in an infinite universe, so there is no such thing as northeast, south, or west. There only is for human beings, so we can know which way to go in order to get to a certain location on our planet. That in the infinite universe, there is no northeast, south, or west. Imagine if you're in a void space and you start going upwards. Are you actually going north? Because you could be going upward and be going east. And east could actually be you going straight ahead, but you wouldn't notice it. You could actually turn a space on its side. It doesn't matter. It's like a sphere. So the infinite universe could be like a sphere, and no matter which way you turn it, where is north, east, south, and west on a sphere? How many points are on a sphere? You could even say there's a sphere, or you could say there's infinite numbers of points on a sphere. So if it's infinite, then where truly is north, east, south, or west in an infinite space? Anyway, so in this star, which could be defined as an infinite space, there's north, east, south, and west, and all the doors are closed. And so it's sort of emanating, where's your pathway if all the doors are closed to north, east, south, and west? The pathway is within you, and you are the star. So I wanted to actually channel him again, and I'm hoping we'll see how it goes. If it's appropriate, if I could define it as the world is ready for it or not. Scary stuff the world isn't so sure about. But for me, I don't see it as scary. I see it as teaching. And Archangel Raziel, his essence reminds me a lot of a part of my higher self who has a very dark emanating side, because my higher self is extremely diverse and also has an extremely light emanating side. So anybody could go to my higher self and step into her scary layer, or anybody could go to my higher self and step into her emanating light side layer. But in the end, they're both my higher self, right? So in addition to this, I have this massive agate crystal skull. And I love working with crystal skulls because they're all about bringing balance to the mental body. But they also emanate what is mankind to me. But they also emanate higher wisdom to me. Higher wisdom also comes from the heart, not from the head, but from the experience, right? But there's something about this crystal skull that I feel connected to in the inspiration of wanting to do this channeling on sacred geometry and with Archangel Raziel. So I'm going to go ahead and relax. And let's see what comes here. I'm supposed to tell you that if you search Archangel Raziel in Google, there'll be a little blurb that'll come up. That's the same blurb that I read. They don't know any more than what I read on Google. That Archangel Raziel is sort of the archangel of mysteries or hidden secrets. So that's all I know, apart from my secret message that you guys can watch if you want to. And so this is this will be my second channeling of him, and you'll just see what comes. He's a lot softer this time. I feel like crying. I feel like I miss him a lot. I feel like I'd been looking for him, but I couldn't find him. I feel like a real hunger sensation. His emanation is before me, and I'm in a foggy space. And I'm walking through the foggy space, and I'm towards him as I can experience him inside my heart, so I'm gravitating towards the direction of my heart. My heart is leading me to him. So I reach my hand out, longing to place my hand or to touch his heart. I long to receive his heart. I want to touch his heart, but I also want to receive his heart. And that's how I feel. And I tell him I feel like I'm just like gushing out all this conversation with him. And I talk about that original channeling and how I remember what had happened to him and how it tore my soul apart on some level. It created so much sorrow for him. And I was looking for him in a place of sorrow. And because my soul still felt in sorrow about what had happened, and I longed to rekindle or reconnect with our souls, not in a place of sorrow or hurt or challenge, but in a place of love and light where we can emanate higher wisdom together. But that I could also remember, receive, I just connect. I'm just gushing all of this energetically out of my system. I am telling him I was so sad to see him like that. I even wondered if this was really the real you or the you. And I was so sad. I just keep saying this over and over and over and over again. And I just didn't want to leave that place, but I didn't know what else to do, so I had no choice but to leave because I didn't know what to do. And I just felt so sad. I didn't even know how to go on. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about you. I'm still crying my eyes out as I'm walking towards him and gushing all of this emotion out of my soul towards him as I try to find him in this fog. But I'm not trying to find him at all. I'm following my heart towards him. And I'm sort of sick of the walk, so I'm just going to sit down. And if you would like to come to me, then you can. I did this in the first journey as well, where I said, I don't know if I feel the need to enter into your space. Why don't you move your space to me? And so I'm doing this in this space, this foggy world as well. We're dealing with the archangel of secrets and mysteries, hidden mysteries. So he's not going to be exactly straightforward. He's going to challenge the human mind. Now we know why I was gravitating towards this. He's going to challenge my human mind, and he's going to challenge me as a human being to comprehend something beyond myself on a level that I would not have access to it in this dimensional plane. I'd have to have a energetic upgrade, or I'd have to have some sort of mystery experience in order to upgrade into that level of awareness. And I was talking with him and Archangel Metatron, as well as Cryan, and as well as my friend Joseph, all about sacred geometry and how I'm aware, like, you can have a triangle. Now you can split a triangle into 2 triangles. And now you can split 2 triangles into 4 triangles. Now you can split 4 triangles into 8 triangles, and so on and so forth. So one triangle now is also a reflection of infinite numbers of triangles. But it can also be a reflection of other shapes too. You could take one cube. A cube could be many different shapes within itself, but it also could be expanded into infinite numbers of cubes. Just through the one cube, we just get it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and infinitely smaller. But the perception of large and small is also an illusion, because to the universe, the planet is really small. But to a human being, the universe is really massive. So perception, it's like the cell in the body is really tiny to a human being, but an atom is really small to a cell. So you see that perception is just all relative. And so sacred geometry, there's some value to having the awareness of what sacred geometry. I mean, if you can actually try this just as a technique, just draw a triangle to connect with this reality. And as a human being, you draw the triangle, and now you have 2. Okay, now I have 4. Now and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So why is this so important to know this? What is it about knowing this about shapes, about relativity, that size also is an illusion? What is it about all this that makes me more powerful, that I could actually harness this wisdom to become more powerful through the use of it, or the awareness of it? Like how do I work with it? So I'm asking Archangel Raziel right now about this. I've told him that I feel like there is a missing link here between, I see this experience, I know the shapes are infinite, I know all about this stuff, but what's the next step? What's the missing link to the next step of perception? I can't seem to grasp it, and I desperately want to grasp it. I've only known this guy for like 5 days, so as you can see, my connection with him is really intense and real. He's quiet and he is not saying a word. And he also likes being this way. I start just laughing and telling him you're a goofball. And then I run around making silly noises and jumping up and down like a wild monkey. I say, I'm going to hide from you. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. He's like just sitting there quiet as ever. And I just feel like freaking out like a crazy monkey. Because it makes me laugh so much. His behavior does. And he's not even doing anything. It just makes me laugh so much. I can't stand it. I have to somehow calm down and get serious. I have to get on his level, apparently. So I have to go into harmony. So I sit down like a professional Buddhist monk. I sit in the space, back straight. My breath is open. My heart is open to receiving higher awareness and higher wisdom on the subject of sacred geometry. That takes me beyond this missing link into a higher awareness of how to use it as a tool for the betterment of mankind, as a spiritual healer, to use it as a tool for healing souls, and anything else that I can't even comprehend its usage of at this time. He says, now you're receiving. He says, those who watch, you too can choose to receive at this time as well, that which Abbey is also receiving. He says, what does receiving sound like? It sounds like silence. He says, good. That's when you know you are receiving, when it sounds like silence. He says a lot of human beings think the more that they talk, the more that they learn, the more that they discover. But what they aren't aware of is when they are silent is when they are discovering true wisdom. Silence manifests true wisdom. He has a very intense gaze about him, and it's almost hypnotic, and it creates circulation in the eyes and in the third eye. It's almost challenging to breathe, but it creates circulation in the throat, the heart, these spaces specifically. I hear the words, you are not ready yet. But I transform the words and I say, I am ready now. He says, what gives you the right to decide when you are ready or not ready to receive this wisdom? I say, I already chose to receive it, therefore I am ready to receive it. It is not for you to tell me when I am ready to receive. When my soul chooses is when I am ready. My soul chooses to receive now this wisdom. He's talking to me about intellect over emotion. He's talking to me about science over heart. He's talking to me about sacred geometry being a science, or is it a concept that only your heart could comprehend? Is it an intellectual exploration, or is it an emotional one? We are talking about shapes right now. How could shapes be emotional? He's got a stern stick and he says, answer the question. How can shapes be emotional? Give me a moment here. He says, the moment you come up with an answer to how shapes can be emotional is the moment you become powerful with sacred geometry. He says, do not use your mind, your intellect, your science to comprehend it. Use your heart, use your emotions, and only then will you go deeper. I'm exploring shapes right now. What is a sphere, and what is a pyramid, and what is a cube? And I'm placing my heart within these three shapes. My heart is in the cube, my heart is within the sphere, my heart is within the pyramid. My heart welcomes the cube, the sphere, and the pyramid to express their emotional wisdom with me. The cube shows me all the ways that it creates a balanced structure. Cubes are important for certain versions of balance, where a shape would be necessary with other versions of balance. For instance, the sun is a sphere. The earth is a sphere. If the earth was a cube, it wouldn't be in balance. It wouldn't emanate harmony. If the earth was a pyramid, it would not emanate the right balance of harmony. The cube says, I am proud to be as I am. The sphere says, I am proud to be as I am. The pyramid says, I am proud to be as I am. Now these shapes show me how they can work together in order to create a vast and infinite universe. Without shapes, there is no creation, and creation is an emotional thing, is it not? If creation is an intellectual thing, a scientific thing, creation would surely be dead. Shapes must possess heart in order to create life. I'm just touching all the shapes right now with my energy fingers. I'm 3 different versions of myself touching each shape. I decide to duplicate the shapes, so there's 1 trillion cubes, 1 trillion spheres, 1 trillion pyramids. Then I become 3 trillion versions of myself. Then it doesn't really matter if I'm 3 trillion versions of myself or 1 version of myself with 3 shapes. Some part of me creates an egotistical echo of anger. All of a sudden, I'm like a child who just built a tower that wasn't good enough, and I kick the tower down and I throw a tantrum about it. I say, but these shapes aren't alive, these are just blocks. How do I create life to the shapes? Archangel Raziel smiles at me. We disconnect from this exploration and we just walk side by side into a garden. It's very warm here. All the flowers are alive and thriving. Very rich green emanations coming from nature. There's bumblebees, butterflies, and insects of all kinds. There's birds, there's other animals. It's a thriving space. It says one way to comprehend sacred geometry is not by exploring the shapes themselves, but by simply living. It encourages me to lay down and receive the gift of creation. And by receiving the gift of creation, I receive sacred geometry within my heart. So I lay down in the garden, I just continue to inhale this beauty of creation. But I also inhale the beauty of my own creation. And I choose to inhale the beauty of all creations in the infinite universe. Every single soul. The most evil and the most loving. And in a way, I know I am inhaling the balance, and the balance is good. He says, what if this is all you will ever know about sacred geometry? Would this be good enough for you? I say I already know everything I need to know about sacred geometry. I'm receiving it right now, that awareness. And it is creation itself that is sacred geometry. And it is the life force energy that I'm choosing to inhale and be in gratitude of, all the life force energy. Not to hate one and love another, but to love all. And to receive all in my heart. Allow myself to absorb into, and allow it to absorb into me, and me into it. Now I am in oneness with sacred geometry. Now I am enlightened. Showing me a technique, unexpected, but any of us could use this, and it's as simple as, I allow sacred geometry to heal my throat. Just saying that, for instance. I allow sacred geometry to heal my heart. And we're not saying sacred geometry, it's like per se, we're also saying I allow creation, I allow love to heal my throat. But you can use sacred geometry, but it also is another word for creation, which is also another word for love. So you could have a faction that is sacred geometry, and a faction that is creation, and a faction that is love, but why? Why would you separate it all into these individual pieces when you could blend it all together and then experience the whole all at one simultaneous moment? It seems to me to experience it is more powerful when I experience it on the level of a whole than when I experience it on the level of an individual faction of itself. And when I experience it on a level of a whole, as in sacred geometry now is creation, now is love, I'm actually going up the scale or the ladder of infinite access to that wisdom, which the wisdom again is silent. So the download of the information is silent. It's not meant to be a dialogue in your head that you now know everything there is to know about sacred geometry. When you go up the ladder of vibration and now call sacred geometry creation, now call sacred geometry, which is creation, is love, we're actually going up in vibration simply by the awareness. We're raising our awareness of what it is, and on a whole level, and now we are actually raising our own vibration, and now we are bringing that emanation in to heal. So I can simply say I choose to heal my throat with love, which is also creation, which is also sacred geometry, which is also all this. So I'm allowing that vibration now to heal. He says, so the question isn't, how can I use sacred geometry with healing? The question is, how can I use love on a more powerful level than I've ever been able to access it before? Not how can I use sacred geometry on a more powerful level, how can I understand it and now work with it. Really what you are saying is, how can I work with love on a more powerful level? He says, now that is something I can teach you. And he says, lesson number 1. And he stands there quietly and smiles at me. Lesson number 1 in being a better healer is to smile, is to experience the silence as the wisdom and allow it to emanate. Even the most simplest gestures are the most extraordinary gifts of healing. Interesting. So much more he's telling me right now. I'll just tell you really quick. He tells me that when we as spiritual healers, if we want to complicate things, if we want to create a ritual, and it's got to be done with these steps at this specific time and the more complicated it gets, the more powerful it is. That's only based on your own belief, but don't believe that healing has to be complex in order for it to be more effective or more powerful. That's like seeing you have to have the universe over an atom for it to have more power or effect. It has to be that big. That's also an illusion or misconception, because the power of a single atom it can be more powerful even than the universe is what he is saying. Don't allow the perception to confuse you. And he's telling me that the more we simplify the gift of healing, the more that we simplify it, and we let all the other expectations or the questions or the confusion or the whats and the ifs and what time and how do I, etc., the more we let that go and just allow it to come out of our heart without having to use this, he says now you're transcending the human mind, the human identity, and now you are the heart and the soul. So the more you enter in the heart of the soul, which is love, the more powerful of a healer you will become. Not through sacred geometry, but through love and using your soul. So that's what he says. Okay, that's all I'm going to share for this video. Secret Archangel Raziel video is accessible. I'll make sure there's a link to it. When you watch it, you will understand why I'm hesitant to share it openly on YouTube. Don't let it make you feel vulnerable, okay? Because in a way, it's a test. It was a test for me, and I needed time to step away and to contemplate what it meant to me, and then to contemplate it still, which I've not been able to stop thinking about him, and then to return and actually connect with another vibration or frequency in order to move forward, because there's definitely a connection there, and I really care deeply and dearly for this archangel. Like, I really feel close to this archangel, and it's kind of a mystery in its own right that I am getting to discover myself. So you can't just talk to the mystery angel and not experience being tested on some level or another. It just proves what you are ready for or not ready for. So I feel that channeling was more of a test, but also showing another side to his soul, but also showing a side to my own soul's connection with him, and the confusing aspect of being human and trying to make sense of that. And now here I am channeling him again. So I'm gonna be good with it. I'm just gonna stop there. If any of you are interested in a psychic session with myself, please visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Thank you all for watching, and I wish you all a wonderful day.